I'm upset. No disrespect, respectfully. But disrespectfully is disrespect. Don't be disrespectful. Those vile, disgusting Spartans. Poor little bro, them. And I'ma tell them why I'm mad. That vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus. The other state, and of course, as always, I'm upset.
Maize and Blue Nation, it's Tom Brady. I co-founded Autograph with one mission in mind: change the fan experience for the better. That's why I'm excited to announce the release of a new app that recognizes the biggest Michigan fans. The Autograph Fandom app gives you access to the best Michigan content, fan challenges, and exclusive rewards for diehard Wolverines, all for doing the things you already do, like listening to this podcast. Head over to the Apple App Store and search for Autograph Rewarding Fans and download today.
Good evening, good people, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. We are here. We've got some things to discuss. There have been some revelations. There have been some declarations. I sound like Jesse Jackson right now. Precipitation leads to condensation and evaporation. Anyway, things are happening on the Michigan Big Ten front. There have been threats made. And I don't mean like, yo, we're going to come over there and do something to you threats. Although it is, we're going to suspend your coach kind of threats. And if you try to suspend our coach kind of threats, we're going to sue you kind of threats. Everything appears to be on the table. I got to be honest. It appears that the Big Ten, at least Tony Petitti, I've been calling that man Tony Patelli. His name is Petitti. Tony Petitti or Teddy Petitti. Somebody let me know which one of those it is. Petitti, I'm going with that one. Has been given sort of an ultimatum by the rest of the Big Ten member schools. They're saying, hey, Michigan's been cheating. Something needs to be done about it, right? Whether it's suspending Jim Harbaugh, whether it is levying fines, although fines appear to be like off the table. Nobody's talking about fines because I believe like the most he could do in terms of fines is like $10,000. And what does that matter in this whole thing? But apparently, you know, the suspending of Jim Harbaugh, maybe some loss of scholarships are on the table. And Michigan President Santaono, much like I described in the last live, is not down with it without some due process. And I think as fans, no matter which side you are on, you should be in favor of due process because otherwise somebody could just make claims about whatever it is and somebody has to pay for it. And unfortunately, I know we live in kind of a softer America than the one we all grew up in. However, that is not the way to go. You don't want to just be blamed for something and punished for it without proper process and without proper representation. All of those things matter. Another one of the revelations that came out today is that an unnamed source, former or current Big Ten staffer, came out and said that he was approached by staffers of multiple other Big Ten schools to steal the signs of the Michigan football team. He created a spreadsheet with Michigan's football signs, with the stolen signs allegedly, which is very interesting because that would be like the pot calling the kettle black in this situation, if as it pertains to the other member institutions of the Big Ten. There's been some threats. I've seen smoke about Michigan leaving the Big Ten, which would be like the nuclear option for Michigan outside of, you know, a lawsuit. Michigan outside of the Big Ten doesn't even compute really. It's crazy to even think about, especially since Michigan is kind of the genesis of the Big Ten. Michigan is the Big Ten. Bottom line, like I know that there's a lot of schools that been around for a long time, the Northwesterns, the other states and things like that. You know, schools like Penn State don't really have a say in this. They joined in like 1990. Um, the Indianas of the world, whatever, right? Like they've been around a long time, but in terms of importance, there's really just Michigan and Ohio State. I'm gonna be real with you, in terms of like skin in the game and the level of importance of the schools. Like I understand these other teams play. We play those other teams. We've got trophy games for a bunch of those teams and games within the conference. However, if it comes down to it, we could sacrifice a lot of those schools for Michigan and Ohio State, right? The to think of that rivalry being broken up because one school or the other left the conference is insane. And as big as a Michigan football fan as I am, and as big as a fan of Santa Ono as I am already, to leave the conference, I think should be off the table. I get that if pushed to a point, you know, you may feel like that's the only option that you have. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think about it. If it gets to a point where the Big Ten is certainly going to levy some consequences or some punishment on Michigan without due process, and Michigan decides to leave the conference, are you guys for that? And if they did leave the conference, where would you like to see them go? I've seen some ACC talk. I've seen some SEC talk, which is even crazier. Michigan to the SEC, which, by the way, one person brought this up and gave what they thought the others, how the dominoes might fall if Michigan left the Big Ten to join like the SEC, for instance. Then you got Florida State, Clemson, Miami also joining, and the possibility of even a Notre Dame joining. Although I think what's more likely, if that were to happen, which by the way, I think all of this is far-fetched. Let me say that. I don't think Michigan is leaving the Big Ten. I definitely don't think they're joining the SEC. So let me say that first. But if they did, I think what would be more likely than like Notre Dame joining Michigan in the SEC is Notre Dame replacing Michigan in the Big Ten, as it just makes more sense. They've got all of their chief rivals damn near are now in the Big Ten, and you know, just for geographic sake, it makes sense for them to remain or to join the Big Ten rather than joining an SEC or somebody like that. I'll get to your comments here in a second. I see a lot of people have comments. I'll be getting to those here shortly. Be sure to like and share the stream. If you are in here, hit that like button. Make sure you hit that like button. We'll talk about some football things here in a second, because again, through all of this, the football is being lost. Like football games are still being played. There's still games on the schedule, important games for Michigan on the schedule. And we're going to get to that in a second. I see my guy Antoine has some things to say. Let's see. It's getting to the point you don't need a conference anyway. Sure. Man, there was a time Michigan was independent. Yeah, bro. Like before any of us were alive. But I mean, I get it. Michigan isn't going anywhere. Like I said, they're going to bend over and take it with no lube. They'll be all right. Pause. Uh, but I agree. I don't think Michigan's going to leave the conference that they really built, right? Michigan built the Big Ten. If we're being real, this thing is built on Michigan's back. Michigan still has, in terms of most watched programs on television. By the way, and I think we need to remember this. Remember this in all of anything that's going to happen. NBC, Fox, CBS. Remember that. They won't allow Michigan to leave the Big Ten. You understand that they paid their monies to this conference with assurances, number one being that they get Ohio State, Michigan on their networks, on their respective networks. And if Michigan leaves and goes to the SEC, for instance, who is with ESPN, then all that viewership of Michigan goes with it to ESPN and ABC and Disney now. You get that? Like, it's not going to happen. They won't allow that to happen, which is also why I think that any punishment that is levied will also be tempered. Because in the end, the one thing that matters more to anybody than football and all of this is money. These people's money. And I'm not talking about just those networks now. I'm talking about these ADs and these presidents and the conference money. All that matters. So there is no option, really. I think the option for Michigan leaving is less than 5%, less than 1% of Michigan leaving the Big Ten, no matter what happens. Which, by the way, I don't think much can happen because of that. You see what I'm saying? um it's kind of buffered on either end, right? If they come and say, hey, we're giving Michigan the death penalty, trust me, Michigan will leave. However, before they say, hey, we're giving Michigan the death penalty, NBC is going to say, no, the hell you're not, because we paid for Michigan to be on television. Fox is going to say, no, the hell you're not, because we get first right of refusal, and Michigan versus Ohio State will be on Fox for the foreseeable future, and giving them the death penalty puts that in danger. You see what I'm saying? It's really simple math. Follow the money. I know that we've heard that all our life, but it's really the truth. Follow the money. And in this case, the punishment that is levied against the University of Michigan has to be tempered to some degree because of the money. All right, I'll get to some of the comments now. I know you guys have been commenting away. Big Ten won't punish Michigan because we're about to win the Natty. That too, by the way. By the way, can you see the Big Ten punishing either Michigan or Ohio State at this point? Right, they're two undefeated teams. If both of those teams go into that game again undefeated, playing for the college football playoff, or the right for both of them to make that college football playoff, depending on how things shake out in the rankings, they can't put that in danger. The money is incredible again. And by the way, Michigan looks like the best team in college football. I know there's some Ohio State fans here that are going to be up in arms about that. There may be a couple Notre Dame fans in here right now that are going to be up in arms about that. But the fact is the fact. If you watch college football with your eyes all year, then you know that Michigan has looked better than everyone on a consistent basis. I mean, week to week, that can change, right? Week to week, somebody could look extremely good. Florida State, by the way, week 1 or week 0, whatever that was, that they beat LSU, looked like the best team in college football to me, right? Washington, when they beat Oregon, looked like the best team that week. But Michigan, week in and week out, is doing the same thing. If people are doing this, Michigan is doing this and dominating everyone. That's the point, right? And they cannot put that in danger. If Michigan is the best team in college football and is favored to win the national championship, which I'm not sure what the odds are right now, I'm pretty sure they're close to the top though, then the Big Ten can't mess with that. Before that happens, although I'm sure fans of the other state would love that in the short term, not knowing the consequences that it's going to do to them long term, because without Michigan in that conference, the other state goes down. Argue all you want about it, but it just is what it is. And I'm not saying that people should get a free reign to do what they want. I'm just saying that due process needs to play out, and Michigan that's the only stance that Michigan is taking. Not that, if you find something, we won't agree to punishment. That's never been the stance. The stance is, hey, find something and then punish us. Don't punish us because it doesn't look right to Ryan Day, or it doesn't look right to Tom Allen or to James Franklin. right? These people are in their feelings about what we're doing. So what? Until you find something, don't call us. That would be my stance. Call me when you got something. If my phone rings, I'm expecting you found something and we can have a conversation. Otherwise, I'm busy. That's the stance. NCAA said Harbaugh is not part of sign stealing. I just also read a report that said the NCAA came out and said that Ryan Day wasn't a part of the PI firm with the family, with his family members, in terms of the investigation into Michigan. So, who knows at this point? It's so many reports going back and forth. If you watch ESPN, they are not saying that. ESPN is saying that, the Big Ten has threatened Michigan with punishment. Other publications and outlets are saying something completely different. I do want to get into a couple of the revelations, by the way. Just a reminder, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. The channel is growing by leaps and bounds. By the way, you can now check me out. I have the Maze Madman Pod on Spotify. If anybody here listens to Spotify, check it out there. Of course, download the Autograph app on your Apple devices and use my code Madman. Moving on to the important things. The report of the whistleblower on the rest of the Big Ten schools saying that they wanted or were stealing Michigan signs, that's a big deal. I know that a lot of people are saying, oh, of course, this is timely, but of course it's timely. When things like this come out, reporters dive in and then other things come out. That's just the way it works. We know this being Americans, that American media works this way. So I am not shocked at that, by the way. And apparently, according to other sources, the other state was stealing Michigan signs in 2018 and 2019. That has been or that's at least what they are alleging. I think Michigan is also alleging that and has documentation to prove that, according to that publication that I was reading. So there's a lot of things on the table. But again, I'll go to the comment section really quickly, then we'll get to some football. Notre Dame 3-loss team to no one. Poor Notre Dame, man. And Ryan, I'm surprised Ryan isn't in here. Actually, I'm not surprised Ryan isn't in here because he has no reason to be here today. He's looking forward to basketball season, and they're not that great at that either, but I digress. Go Blue, of course. Shout out to Jay Penny. Go Blue. I appreciate it. Go Blue. Connor. Shout out to Connor. Go Blue. Connor of Week 0. Make sure you check out the Week 0 podcast. Hey, finally made it to a live. Shout out to DJ. It's good to have you here. Thank you for joining the live. My guy Blank, former Big Ten employee, announced today it was his job to steal Michigan sign. Exactly. I was just talking about this, Blank. It's exactly the same thing I read. Pandora's box has just been opened. Yes. And if you saw last night, and a lot of by the way, there's another report floating around that the Big Ten is basically closing their case and allowing the NCAA's process to play out. And that, I think, is directly because of the stance that Michigan is taking and has been taken, with Santa Ono saying, hey, thanks, but no thanks to, this punishment without any findings. Yeah, Mays, where's your crybaby friend Ryan? I don't know. I think Ryan's upset with me, man. Had a little spat on Twitter. His Twitter fingers are, got him in some trouble. But whatever, I'm not, it's no sweat off my back. Ryan's my guy. He'll get over it. 100 peeps in here. Get those likes up. Only 18 likes. Thank you, Mello. Get those likes up, man. Hit the like button. It's really easy. It costs you nothing. I promise it's not strenuous. It's not physically exerting. Just hit the like button. For years, I've been begging for administration to back up Michigan, take football serious. This will force Michigan to go full tilt on football. I've been waiting for this. It does look like that we have the right leadership in place. I will say that. Ward Manuel's been here and nothing's been done. Santa Ono got here, like I said, pulled Ward by his damn ear, told him to get his you know what in line, and we're taking people to war. I saw a report earlier about going to war. I was tweeting similar things last night, that Jim Harbaugh is Michael Corleone and Santa Ono is his wartime consigliere, and we're going to war. But it's all in jest, right? I don't actually mean actual war, but Michigan is taking an aggressive stance, and I, as a fan, like it. I am backing that 100%. USC sucks, and after this year, Lincoln will be gone. I agree with this, Justin. I think USC. I think Lincoln is going to leave USC. Maybe not this year. It depends on what the quarterback does, Caleb Williams. If he leaves, I think Lincoln leaves as well, because it's going to be a couple more years of them taking bad losses. I love how Santa Ono and the Regents have all stuck together for sure. I agree with this 1000%. Go Blue, we whooped that sorry Purdue team. Oh, let me guess, we stole a sign. Right. Like it's Purdue, man. And here's another thing. Purdue's coach was very upset all week about Michigan and the alleged sign stealing. And I'm like, Doug, like, we're not stealing your signs. If sign stealing is going on, there's no reason to steal your signs, trust me. And no dig at Purdue, respectfully. But disrespectfully is disrespectful for you to think that Michigan would take the time to steal your signs. For what? Asinine. I think if the Big punishes Michigan just because the other school says so, I think it's irreparable damage. Then at that point, where does it end? I would definitely leave the Big. Here we go. Yeah, man. I think if they do that, like you said, without any proof of any or any knowledge of anything, then the Michigan has to look at it. And trust me, the SEC will be out there just like this. Please, please. Because if Michigan is on the market in terms of a conference, everybody is on their knees, mouth open, pause. What an embarrassment of a program and fan base. You told me Ryan Day was behind this. I told you that. I told you what I read because I read. But Egan, is it? Sure. We're an embarrassment of a program that's gonna beat the brakes off of that program that you root for, if it happens to be the other state or whoever else you root for. We'd beat them. Santa put his foot up the Big Ten team's arses. I agree with that. Santa is playing no games. By the way, Santa probably knows some stuff, if you know what I mean. He's probably his chi is Caleb Williams will be a New York Jet or Giant next year. I hope not for his sake. But Mello, I get it. You're a you're an East Coaster. You know what? I hope so for you. You know what I mean? You guys deserve to prosper. Jimmy for president. I'm not gonna go that far. I'm done electing people who don't have any background in the thing. Ohio soft. Pete Thamel got bashed by college day head man. Yo, quit. Pete Thamel is a joke. I am not a fan of Pete Thamel. I have expressed this before. Pete Thamel did write the whole Manti Te'o thing with no vetting, and now all of a sudden we should be taking Pete Thamel's word as the gospel. It's disgusting. I already read that one. Walter's a joke. He was with Illinois stealing our signs last year. Yeah, man. These guys are. It's funny when the shoe is on the other foot. Did you see the by AT&T? I believe this is an excuse to read virtual era, and yes, I believe in conspiracies. No, I didn't see this. And are you trying to say this is an excuse? I believe this is an excuse to reign in the virtual era. Yeah, no, I don't know too much about this. I'll have to check that out. Y'all was stealing MSU signs, but not Purdue. Be for real, my boy. Y'all was stealing everybody's signs. Sean has arrived to the party. Sean, we weren't stealing MSU signs. We have no reason to steal MSU signs either. Poor little bro Nim just got it confused, is all. But whatever. They made change. Look, Michigan State made changes because they were afraid that Michigan was allegedly stealing their signs before that game. And guess what happened? They lost 49 to Donut. It could have been worse than that, but I digress. You guys, Ohio State fans, changed up your play calls and signs in advance of the Michigan game because allegedly Michigan was stealing your signs and you still got mollywopped. So, I mean, y'all got to pick a struggle, man. Pick a struggle. You want us to steal your signs and then you get beat, or do you want to hide your signs and you get beat? Those are the options, and we are in a giving mood. We hand out hot L's indiscriminately, and we don't care how you get it. However you want to get this work, you can get it. By the way, speaking of you getting this work.
Hold up. He gonna get this work. You gonna get this work.
Y'all got 3 weeks. Get your stuff together. All right. You're on notice. You're on the clock 3 weeks from now. 49 Donut for sure. The Wolverine was saying Michigan has already provided evidence of other teams' violations. This is about to get really ugly. Happened in the SEC a while back. Yeah. I agree. I read that same thing, that Michigan has supplied the Big Ten with proof of other teams' infractions. I will say that. CMU hired the sign stealing guy. No way. No, they didn't. I'm not. That's fake. No way. And if they did, shout out to him. He's a legend, by the way. Per the AP, a college football staffer who worked at Big Ten school said it was his responsibility. Yes. Yeah, Eddie, I talked about this a little earlier. That's true. I saw that same report. You couldn't do it with CJ, but you think you can do it with McCourt. Well, to be fair, CJ was our quarterback as well. That's my quarterback. I claim CJ as well. And shout out to CJ, who just broke the rookie record in the NFL for passing yards, 470, I believe. 5 touchdowns. He was lighting it up yesterday. Shout out to CJ Stroud. Better give Michigan your signs, because if you hide them, you get beat worse. Facts. Yo, give up your lunch money, because if we have to take it, it's going to be worse for you. That's basically what we're saying out here. I love this energy, though. We'll see y'all in 3 weeks. One thing for sure, your whole fan base is going to cry if we win. If you guys win, I will cry. Live right here on the Maze Madman channel, I will shed tears if you guys beat us in Ann Arbor with the Honda Accord. Not happening. Just got to keep it real with you. Just moving to the next slide. Ooh, Egan is upset, man. I'm upset. Egan what do you want, Egan? Let me talk to Egan really quickly. Egan, I don't know if that's your name. Is it Egan, Egan? I don't know. Like Egan TV. All right, well, I'll just go with that. Or EGAN. I don't know. Whatever it is, I'm gonna call you Egan until you can clarify that for me. What would you like to happen to Michigan, Egan? Let us know in the comment section. I promise I will display it right up here for everyone to see. I have noticed that ESPN has paid very little attention to the allegations that Ryan Day and his brothers were possibly involved in illegal activities. You know why? Because Ohio State is not the threat that Michigan is this season. If Ohio State was out here molly-whopping people, giving them molly-whoppers with cheese, then ESPN would be paying attention. Trust me. If ESPN or if the other state was destroying the competition in the same fashion without regard for their well-being like Michigan is, and those reports came out about Ryan Day, ESPN would be uh, a little more worried. Right now, though, the other state just looks like a rib cage for the feast of the SEC. You know, they are a good team to prop up for Georgia once again, or for Alabama to feast on. However, Michigan doesn't look like that. Michigan looks like the hunter. So you know, you got to say what you got to say to make it look good. That's my theory. Michigan shut down CJ Stroud. Uh, I wouldn't listen. CJ Stroud got put up numbers in both games. It's just that, you know, he couldn't beat us. Sean, they're gonna cry when we win, and when all their coaches get suspended. I know that this is what you guys want, Mello and Sean. I know you guys want Michigan coaches to be suspended. That way it makes it a little easier for you. Right now, I'm pretty sure that Jack Harbaugh, Jim's father, could coach Michigan to beating the other state. That's how confident I am. Remember, Buck guys, I go to your channels, I see you cry when no one's around. It's like holy confession. Shout out to Twan. I keep coming back to the idea that Weiss's fingertips. I think that's an incomplete thought, I guess. Or are you saying that this is that Weiss is the reason for this? I get it. Yeah, I mean that could be it. By the way, oh, I need a close up of that. Of me crying. You'll get it. By the way, Michigan fans will come here, we'll cry in unison. If we lose to that vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus. That's how confident I am. It is not going to happen. I am getting. Saw that message, did you? What? Sorry. No, we ain't gonna cry. I know we're not gonna cry because there will be no reason for us to cry. By the way, another reason that we won't cry, I will. I'm gonna stick to that. I will cry because, you know, I've been talking a lot. But another reason we won't cry is because we won't cry. We don't cry. You guys do enough of the whining for all the rest of the Big Ten. Big Blue 52, Ohio 7. Bluntman calling it now. I can't wait till people start talking. I'm trying to get through these so I can talk about this Penn State game, which, by the way, I am. So my worry meter for Penn State went from like 1. That thing is up to like 4 right now, just based off of Drew Aller looking like an actual football player last week and JJ's struggles. But I'll get into that here in a second. If Michigan beats Ohio, Ryan Day is going to cry. He can always coach at a MAC school. Ryan Day, I have no doubt, actually will cry. There's no doubt in my mind. This seems like a good opportunity to remind everyone, hit the like button, share the stream. If you haven't already, make sure to follow your boy or subscribe to the channel. Antoine, you're in all the chats like myself. Antoine is in all the chats. She sends me all the information. If I'm ever behind on information, Antoine's got me. Saw all my Ohio cousins this weekend in the fear. OMG, you could smell it. Let's go blue. Yeah. So I'm in a group chat with my family from Ohio. Shout out to all of those guys and gals. And it's palpable. They're feeling it. They as the weeks get closer to that annual beatdown that we are delivering, you know, the palms get sweaty. They understand what's about to happen. Nobody gave any of the stuff about Ryan Day any credence because it's just ridiculous. You see how sure he is about this. This is how sure we were in the beginning, right? When you guys were saying, "Oh, Michigan cheated," and we were like, "Man, that's ridiculous. Get out of here," right? Same thing. And you guys kept hitting us over the head. You're cheaters. You could go look at my videos. I wasn't even talking about this There are people in the comments, cheaters, cheaters. And now that you guys are getting a little bit of the same medicine, you guys sound just like us. It's like you guys aren't impervious to this. We're just gonna hit you over the head. I'm going to every Ohio State channel right after this and typing cheaters. Follow me over there if you don't believe it. Comes to stop. It's because it's not true. Zach Smith made it up and dumbass Sam Webb ran with it. No, 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 no. Don't do that. Zach Smith didn't make it up. Zach Smith just told the truth. That's all. Don't fit the narrative. Operation Smear Blue. Yeah, that's definitely what's happening right now. All right, let's talk a little bit of football, man. I'm never going to get through these if I keep going at this rate. I'm trying to catch up, and then you guys like keep leaving messages. I will get to the comments as quickly as I can. All right, but let's talk football this week. Michigan travels to Happy Valley to do battle with the Penn State Nittany Lions. This game will be a noon game because Fox got in the way of the bag for NBC. They also got in the way of what would have given Michigan fans a little more apprehension, and that is a whiteout at night in Happy Valley. Unfortunately, for those Penn State fans, that will not be happening. And fortunately for Michigan fans, that is the case. Drew Aller, as I said last week against Maryland, looked like a football player. The 5-star quarterback that, everybody had been raving about to this point had looked very pedestrian. He was looking extraordinary, not extraordinary, extraordinary. But last week, I have to admit, he came through, made a couple elite passes, and looked again like a football player. So I will give him that. We know that Penn State's defense is elite. That is a very good defense. And Michigan will have its work cut out for it. JJ McCarthy will have his work cut out to try and find openings in that defense. That said, I have full confidence in JJ McCarthy's ability. I have full confidence that JJ will get it done. He's coming off his second worst game of the season, which is that's crazy to even say, considering he completed like 65% of his passes for 335 yards. And we're talking about his worst game. He could have had a touchdown. He didn't throw any touchdowns in this one, but he had a touchdown to Cornelius Johnson that went through his hands. If Cornelius catches that, then not only does JJ have a touchdown, but the score also becomes 24-0 instead of 17-0 like it was. But I digress on all of that. Michigan rushing attack is not what it has been. I can be honest about that. Obviously, the last 2 years, Michigan's rushing attack has been the catalyst of that offense. Right now, it is not the case, and the offense or the rushing attack is a little stagnant. They had to do things like end arounds to generate rush offense this past week with Samaj Morgan and Cornelius Johnson, both gaining big chunks on end arounds. Outside of that, though, I think that Michigan is in a good spot. They showed last year the way to beat Penn State was a heavy dose of run, unless that they can be more effective on the ground this year. I think that may have to change as it's changed in every game so far this year, with Michigan taking to the air with more regularity. So I think that's the key to victory this week. I'm going to say final score Michigan 31, Penn State, or actually I said 38-20, 38-20 Michigan. I'm going to stick with that. Mellow number 7, I bet you if Michigan beats OSU this year, you have to cheer for Michigan in a jersey. And if OSU wins, I'll do the same. That's something. I'm not making those bets. I saw Ryan make a silly bet that, by the way, he still hasn't paid up to. Mello. And it's tragic because if you can't trust a man's word, what can you trust? But I know myself well enough. I am not making that bet because I do not want to put on that vile, disgusting, cesspool written scarlet. It won't happen. I will confess, as a child, as a teenager, a preteen rather, I had an Ohio State pullover that my aunt got me. I wore that thing religiously, even though I hated Ohio State. But that pullover was fire. Um, that's it though. Um, and she did that on purpose. She got me that pullover, knowing that I didn't like that vile, disgusting cesspool. Anyway, we move on. We move forward. I've spoken on the revelations, if you will, things that have come up in Michigan football, the things that the Big Ten is investigating or not, and also what Michigan has presented to the Big Ten, the stance that Michigan brass is taking, which I am a fan of. And also, we spoke a little bit about the possibility of the Wolverines leaving the Big Ten. I didn't see a lot of people respond to that, but we still got a little time. Tell me, what do you think the odds are of Michigan leaving the Big Ten if a suspension is levied by the Big Ten without any evidence? Let's talk about that for a second before I get out of here. Maze, you wore what? I know, man. I know, Dexter. It hurt me. It hurt me to wear that, but I was the man in middle school with that starter pullover. I got to tell you. Um, and I went to school. Obviously, I went to middle school in Ohio. So having the Ohio State pullover in 7th grade, I was the man. That's all I'm gonna say. I was the man at that time. On PSU, Roman Wilson will have 100 yards and a touchdown. That seems legit. I think he went over 100 yards this past weekend on 9 receptions. Roman Wilson is an absolute problem, and JJ, he's clearly JJ's favorite target, so I can see that happening. Y'all are really gonna do this, Justin. You don't have to do this. Don't do this. Actually, I'm more confident. I'm Mello. You should not do this. Don't do this, Mello. Look, I care who Michigan has played. We won every game by 24 plus. So who cares? Absolutely, man. No, I'm not. I will not talk about Michigan's uh, resume or schedule. We beat who was on there. That's the bottom line. Y'all can say what you want. OSU beat Michigan and didn't play COVID year or would have beaten them. Then for some reason got great in 1 year when they hired a sign stealer. You must leave the big Gary Palmer. Speaking big words, boy. I don't know what you clearly didn't think this out, Gary. I'm sorry, what was your name? Because I don't want to mess that up. Larry, you didn't think that out. You don't think that that's a good idea, right? For Michigan to leave the Big Ten and leave Ohio State over there. Although you probably do think that's a good idea because the path for Ohio State would get that much easier. So I understand it from that perspective, but not in the perspective of we want to be a good conference because that is not the way to go. I was looking at Jimmy Butler. Look, a notice of allegations has been filed by the NCAA, so we'll see what happens. Oh, wow, that's quick. Let me check this out. Even still, Michigan has 90 days to respond, which would, you know, if Michigan waited that thing out, it'd be after the CFP, after the playoff, after the championship, all of that. By the way, Niagara is beating Notre Dame basketball. So I'm sure Ryan is crying into a pillow somewhere. But yeah, insane. Of course, Michigan might face disciplinary. So I'm not seeing the NCAA thing on ESPN. I'm seeing that the Big Ten has informed Michigan it may face some disciplinary action, but certainly not that the NCAA has filed their notice or given their notice. I love the rivalry. I'm an Ohio State fan, but you have to leave the Big Ten. I'm really surprised that all coaches haven't fought for that. We have USC, Oregon, Washington, UCLA. We don't need you anymore. Bro, what do you mean you don't need us? We're the genesis of the Big Ten. We started this thing. King Kong ain't got on us. Y'all would be playing basketball in Pelican Bay if it wasn't for Michigan. Shout out to Denzel. The Big Ten will be the best conference next year. I'd rather them stay. The Big Ten is definitely going to be the best conference next year. All these hypocrites from the Big, what punishment do they want for their teams now? Absolutely. I'm certain that they don't want any punishment for their teams. Michigan needs to leave the Big over this stat. Rooted Rotor. Man, you guys are really upset. Sassy over here. That was a typo. Okay, cool. Otis John, wonder if they want due process. This is interesting. AP, a former employee, Big Ten football, said Monday was his shot. Yep. Otis, we talked about that earlier in the show. I brought that up. Absolutely. We need to get the hell out of the Big Ten. We need to get, is that Michigan or the other state? Either way, I don't think either one of them should leave. Larry smoking. Larry on something. AT breaking. Big Ten programs collaborated to decode and share Michigan sign, potentially violating the Big Ten sportsmanship policy. But they want, see, it's always a hit dog will holler. That's what my grandmother used to say. I'm still trying, my grandmother used to say, rather, still trying to figure out what it means, but I feel like that was the right place to say it. There's no evidence of there's no evidence of other teams doing anything. Just made up a story coming out of Michigan like all the other made up stories. Now, music for me, 007. Let me ask you, what's the evidence of Michigan doing anything? Connor Stallions? Because if that's the evidence, then you don't have any evidence. Just to be clear. Michigan started the Big, and Michigan is the cash cow. No way does the Big want Michigan to leave. We should take Notre Dame and go to the SEC. Wow. Again, I think that would hurt the Big Ten for sure. The Ohio State gets a lot of people to watch their games, but that's because of the impending game, right? The game is the game in college football in the regular season, at least. And the reason that schools like the other state, and I'll even throw Michigan in there, get the kind of views that they get is obviously their fan bases. And I think Ohio State has, according to some metric, the biggest fan base in college football. And Michigan is down like third or fourth. So you take that into consideration. Then you take into consideration the impetus and the of the game, right? Of that actual game, and those two colossal fan bases coming together to watch that fan base along with all of the rest of college football, because it is the biggest rivalry in college football, arguably in all of sports, and you get the best show in the regular season. Ohio State is the cash cow. I mean, it's very easy to check the numbers. It is easy to check the numbers, and year to year, that is not the case necessarily. Last year, Ohio State average or had more views than Michigan, but it was by a marginal number. So in the year before that, I think Michigan had more than Ohio State by a marginal number. It really depends on the schedules and the TV schedule, right? Obviously, this year I'm not expecting Michigan to have colossal numbers based on the schedule until you get to Penn State and the other state. But Ohio State played Notre Dame, so that's a big game, and Notre Dame is another school with a massive fan base. So that's a big game. And then they also played Penn State, another big game. Outside of that, though, their numbers are going to be very similar to Michigan until Michigan plays Penn State, which will be very similar to Ohio State versus Penn State. Maybe not as big because both teams aren't coming in undefeated. Penn State already has a blemish. But if that were the reverse, it would be the reverse. It just depends on what school is playing who when. Breaking news, Wetzel, the NCAA has found no evidence that Harbaugh knew about Stallion's activities. That's coming from the NCAA. This whole thing is a hit job. What a joke. When you add up all sports, Michigan is bigger than Ohio State by far. And that may even be the case, especially you add hockey, things like that. Michigan basketball is bigger than Ohio State basketball. Come on now, you cheating Buckeyes. What punishment do you want for crying Ryan? Absolutely. What are we going to do with Ryan Day? He's got to get out. He's got to go. Actually, I'm not that guy. I want Ryan Day to stay forever. Stay as long as you want, Ryan. You're doing a bang-up job. Dylan speaks truth. I didn't see what Dylan said. Here we go. Ohio State degree is worth a wet piece of toilet. You guys are funny. You guys are good. I didn't say that, but I don't disagree. I think let me not say that. I got family that went to Ohio State. They have good jobs. You know, that degree is worth something. Gotta go, fellas. The wife is on my arse. Hit the like button, peeps. Appreciate it, Mello. See you next time. I got about 8 more minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Flu, snow, softness. What will third base boy use that as an excuse? Right. Maybe the fact that he couldn't steal our signs, because apparently he's doing that. Rooted robber, they can still pin him on a lack of institutional control, because if this is true, somebody should know. That's fair. Ohio soft and will always be the runners up. Not sorry. Neither am I, Seth. If OSU loses to Michigan the next 2 years, Ryan Day will be gone. Ryan Day might be gone after this year, depending on how that looks. Ryan Day is wet diarrhea and rainbow sprinkles. We are all here, but when people say silly stuff, I just ignore it. I understand that. Here's Larry. Rooted rotor. They all say that. I never knew he was doing that, but someone was paying him. I see the man on the sidelines and by your defensive coordinator. That just happens to be where he was that day or those days. I don't know. Maybe he likes Jesse Minter. They play Parcheesi or something together. I don't know. It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine today. Bad days ahead for the Kitty Cats, and OS sucks. Yes, it does. And it is bad days ahead for those two respective programs, because they got to play the Wolverines. The excuse this year will be all distractions Michigan had disrupted his team. Oh, yeah. Somehow Michigan's distraction disrupted you. I dated a pretty sister that graduated from Ohio State. I had her head over heels in love with me for almost 2 years. She thought I was about to propose. I told her I could never marry anyone. Yo, this is savage. Hey, that man is a legend. Shout out to who is this? Gip. Shout out to Gip. Gip is a legend, man. Who paid for the whole thing. All right, guys, I got to start winding it down. I appreciate everyone for coming through. Before I get out of here, this upcoming Sunday, I will be live with 4-star cornerback Michigan target Dwayne Galloway at 8 p.m. Make sure you tune into that if you can. Get your questions ready. Dwayne Galloway runs a 4.3 40 10, a sub 11 second 100-meter dash. He is a ball hawk. He is recently a top 100 player on threes or the on 300. So Should be a great interview. I am looking to schedule some other big interviews coming down the road, but this will be a massive get for Michigan if they can get Dwayne Galloway. Oh, and the best part is he's right out of that vile cesspool, that vile, disgusting cesspool, Columbus. Uh, no disrespect to the city of Columbus, respectfully, but disrespectfully. Dwayne Galloway is from Columbus. This will be another attempt for Michigan to get a top-rated corner out of that state. Should be great. By Connor Beer, if you see him in person, for sure, you got it. But yeah, guys, until next time, stay angry, my friends.